We are back for another brew with a blue, a little bit later than planned, or the usual ones this week, as you can probably see. So, obviously, so we have to wait a little bit longer for him to get up from his slumber. Although you are usually awake quite early, aren't you, Rob?
Well, yeah, I like that you're using the term like wake up from my slumber like I'm sleeping in like a college student or something. I mean, it's a 6 hour time difference. It's a little after 8 here, but yeah, no, glad I could do it. Got my coffee and got my shirt and I'm ready to go.
I'm trying to read what it says on the mug. What does it say?
Oh, yeah. So my wife got me this and it says, "You are the luckiest guy in the world. I would love to be married to me."
Fantastic.
That's if it's possible for a coffee mug to sum up your life partner and soulmate, that's pretty much that's my wife nailed right there.
Well, I think it's also like a semi-serious note. Talking there before we hit record, and you're a married man, I'm a newly married man, and we were sort of saying that in these times, it's probably easy to think that everybody's shacked up with the families or shacked up with the wife or the husband, but there's going to be a lot of people who are just on their own, and that's really sad.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think for people who are alone, they have different challenges. Just like I'm sure there are people who are stuck together right now who feel stuck together. But yeah, it definitely makes you think. Like I was saying to Matt before we hit record, that I feel really fortunate to have someone to be writing this out with, mainly because I'm my personality type or whatever. I'm useless after about 3 days on my own. So it's good that I have a spouse. But that's also why I've encouraged people who are like friends of mine who are on their own or whatever. I tell them constantly, just, hey, if you're bored, just reach out to me. We can FaceTime. We can shoot the shit, whatever. That's what friends are for. And I think that's why we all kind of have to lean on each other in times like this.
There's no excuse for people not to do things, is there now? Because everybody is at home, everybody is stuck. So you can't drop a fake excuse in there for something and say, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. I think that's one of the good things about organising these videos and the shows for the Blue Room is that nobody can say to me, "Oh, I'm really sorry, Matt, I've got got an event on," or something like that. Everyone's sort of, if I ask them, they can't really think of an excuse to say no to not come on.
Yeah, what's funny about it, and I feel like maybe other people have noticed this too, but oddly enough, I feel like I'm talking to my friends. And when I say talking, I don't mean just text messaging like normal, but I actually feel like because of apps like, Zoom and House Party and things like that, that I'm actually talking to my friends more than I did before this started. And to your point, though, yeah, like, I think everyone's probably, at least around here, everyone seems to be drinking a little bit more than normal. And so I don't drink a ton, but when I do, I'd like to be social with it. And so I'm always trying to get friends like, hey, I know it's Tuesday, but let's just have happy hour or whatever. And when people are like, I can't make it, I'm like, what are you doing? There's literally nothing you could be doing that's more important than hanging out with your friends right now. But, I feel like everyone has to kind of define their own social space, even amidst this kind of scenario that we're in, because they probably just have to say no every once in a while and decide when they need to be with their significant other or by themselves or just not drink. But what fun is it to not drink right now?
Yeah, I'm just thinking there. I was thinking about potential excuses you could use in these times which would allow you to not do something. So say if you'd like arranged a house party or a Zoom call with your friends, and then you thought, oh, no, I don't fancy it. We've all had that, haven't we? We've got, friends have organised a thing in the poor boy, a meal or something. You think, oh, I'm not going to do it. So I'm just going to make up an excuse. What excuses would be valid and would work in this time? It's difficult, isn't it? But I suppose what you said there about having that social space and spending time with your significant other is important. But to say that feels really abrupt. To actually say to somebody, I'm really sorry, but I've got to just sit with I'm like, I've got to like have my own time. I've just got to sit with my wife for a bit. To actually come out, it feels like a bit like a Curb Your Enthusiasm situation where you get into a battle like over it.
I do feel like this whole scenario is going to birth a lot of new excuses, new humor, new everything. But it's funny because when you get married, and or especially when you have kids, I don't have kids, but my friends who do constantly make excuses not to do things. So I figure like most of the time it's valid, of course, but there's a good 25% of the time where they're clearly using their kids just to get out of like hanging out, because as you get older, it just seems like you're more comfortable doing everything on your own terms for the most part, but you also want to have a nice handy excuse so as not to offend people. I've found though that generally speaking, less detail is the key. What you do is if someone says, if you invite someone to something and they say, oh, I really can't, that's it. Don't say any more than that, because what people do is they fill the void of the unknown with the worst possible thing. Well, God, Rob didn't say he couldn't because of something. He just said he couldn't. And, there could be something wrong, and I shouldn't assume anything. And, the unknown is very powerful when it comes to like, swerving your friends. So even in these times, I think that works. But yeah, to your point though, man, like, I don't know. I'm the kind of person who really likes some sort of social interaction that involves like a video or a FaceTime thing, maybe once a day or if, at least several times a week. It just keeps me sane, because I'm over 4 weeks now of being isolated. I think we were like a week or so ahead of you guys for the most part. And I'm missing, like, I haven't really interacted with another human being other than my wife, outside of like picking up food curbside or groceries and things like that. And that's about it. So, you just seeing people, and I'm trying not to make excuses. I'm trying to just say yes whenever anyone wants to talk or hang out, because I figure maybe they need to talk for whatever reason.
Have you done any quizzes with friends yet? We had one of them on Saturday.
Yeah.
Is at the moment?
I have not. I have not yet. Some of the quizzes I know, like in our group chats and stuff, some of them have been during the week, in the evening for you guys, but because of the 6 hour time difference, I've still got work and things I got to do. But haven't done quizzes yet. But I think that's something I definitely want to do. For these upcoming weekends. I also want to play. I want to get an online poker game set up of some kind. Just because poker is an easy sport to play. I think online, and just kind of. I don't have to bet real money or anything, but just it's an easy one to kind of play for a long period of time and shoot the shit. And I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, maybe give it a go. Maybe do a quiz. It just feels like everyone's doing a quiz. I was going to do a Blue Room quiz, but it feels like a lot of the other sites have done it as well now. So maybe give it a few weeks then.
Well, you know what it is too. It's like when it comes to board games, and this is where I don't know, like what games were popular over there for you guys growing up versus for us. But I always loved, like, whether it was game shows or board games, I love trivia type games. Like Trivial Pursuit is still my favorite board game, just because it's, for the most part, it's just about being smart. But yeah, it's classic. Even though I consider myself a relatively intelligent person, I still only know like 20% of the answers, but that's fine. That's not a bad batting average in that. But when it comes to like football trivia, like, I tell everyone in the Blue Room constantly, I remind them that if there is a Rob Vera brand, it is that I'm a football idiot. Like, I fully admit that. And so I feel like the quizzes that are very Everton centric and football centric, they really hit me where it hurts most, because one, I'm a football idiot, and two, I don't have like the steel trap memory of like a Mike Diasha or something like that, where he's like, oh yeah, the game against Stoke where Andy Johnson scored that goal, blah, 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 like some shit like that. I can't do it. And so my memories, the way I internalize my memories of Everton are through emotional scarring, like I think most people do, as opposed to memorizing facts.
Okay. You've done well forgetting a lot of them by the sounds of it, at least. So,
hey.
Whereas people like Mike, they just they stay there and they scar them and they gradually grind them down over time. Whereas you're just sort of like, I'm just going to let these Everton sins and Evertonianism just sort of wash all over me and off my shoulders.
Yeah, I feel it at the time, and I feel it pretty hard, but I have to find ways of kind of moving on from it in order to function as a human being moving forward. But I think everyone handles that differently, of course.
One thing I did want to ask you about, actually, it's weird, for us we've actually seen each other quite a lot recently on here, because we've done more video stuff, and usually it's just in the studio and we get video. But you're at your stand-up desk again.
Yeah.
You persisted with the stand-up desk even in these times.
Yeah, well, look, it's not like I'm standing all day long, but this is just how I prefer. I feel more comfortable this way in terms of, you got to remember. So for those who have not heard this whole shtick about my standing desk, um, you can Google them, but basically it's a better way to work if you're having to like present for long periods, because sitting for long periods is not good for your body and your back. And I have I used to have a bad back and I don't anymore, partially because of this.
So you've got
Um,
posture.
yeah, I've got good posture. I have to kind of lean over a little bit here, but yeah, no, I've got good posture. But I do find that in terms of clarity of thought and my ability to form sentences, not 100% of the time, but most of the time, I'm better standing up than I am sitting down. Probably because I like to flail my hands like this and I like to make points like this. Even when we're on the podcast, when you guys can't see me, just imagine me going like this and going like this and going like and like this, and I find that standing really accommodates that better. But yeah, I have to do for work. I have to do like these sometimes 2 and 3 hour presentations. So standing is just better for me for whatever reason.
That's really interesting. That you sort of feel more. I don't know what the right word is, more like sensitive and more alert when you're standing up as opposed to sitting down. I suppose the one thing that came to mind immediately then, obviously you've been to loads of matches yourself now, is when you're at the game and you're trying to sing, you can't quite vocalize and stuff as well. It just feels a little bit weird. Whereas if you're all stood up together and you're all singing, then it is a lot easier. So maybe there's something in that.
Yeah, maybe. I like that now that I've been to four Everton matches. I've been to loads of matches, by the way. But yeah, that's the one thing that is the toughest. We've never really talked about this before, but obviously because of the mandates they have in the stadiums where everyone has to pretty much sit for the most part, that was one of the hardest things. That, and obviously the inability to bring food into the seating area was the biggest cultural shock, like culture shock thing that I went through over there. But yeah, like you go to an NBA, like a basketball, like an NBA game here. And in fact, in Oklahoma City, it's a tradition that the entire crowd stands until the Thunder make their first basket of the game. And then, but kind of the ebb and flow organically at sporting events here is that you're sitting, but then if something exciting is happening, people stand up. Or kind of like at Goodison, late on, if even though you're supposed to sit, everyone, once they're coming storming down the field toward the Gladys Street, like suddenly everyone sort of stands up in anticipation or whatever. That's why I liked that last match where I was on the first row.
So on that one, you're the first row. You would have been like the trigger for everybody, I imagine. When you stand up, everyone behind you's got to as well. So important to pick the right moments, I imagine, and when to go and when to sit.
Yeah, for sure. But then outside of that, you feel like a dick if as the tall guy, blocking I'm probably blocking some poor kid's view, or some person who's in a wheelchair or something like that. I feel awful about that. But hopefully everyone's got good seating accommodation. I saw one of those Onion articles once and it was about someone standing at a concert, because of course I deal with the being tall thing. I'm about 6'3", so I deal with this at a concert. And the headline of the Onion article was, something along the lines of, no apologies to the people behind me because God made me 6'3" or something like that. I was like born. I was literally made to be at this concert, and that's just fate and stuff like that. But I miss the games. I will say that though. Like I've thought a lot less about Everton lately, but it's when I think about actually being there that I really miss it more than the normal Saturday morning. Like I've been sleeping in on Saturday mornings and Sunday mornings. It's been nice, but usually this time of year I'm planning my next trip over, so it's just kind of I feel like I'm in a bit of a holding pattern here because I can't wait to get back over.
It's sort of become the norm for me now. I'm sort of used to it not being there, the football. But what I was thinking about actually early today was that it's going to be really weird when it does come back. Like having loads of sport on the telly again or going to the match is going to be such a peculiar experience for everyone, I imagine. Because it's, I don't know, will you just settle back into old routines? Will it be a little bit different? Will everyone sort of grasp it and, not necessarily take. Cause I suppose, people who go to the game every week, like myself, seeing ticket holders, you can take it for granted a little bit. And maybe something like this, where we've got, potentially months and months without anything, could be the sort of a catalyst for everyone just appreciating it that little bit more.
Yeah, we were talking about this on Kickabout last week. Like, I'm slightly skeptical about this notion of things just snapping back to normal, because I don't know that that's how life works. And I kind of sense, and I could be wrong, at least that's the vibe here, but I kind of sense that when you go through this many months of being vigilant about staying apart and being fearful of a disease, as you should be, that this idea that you're going to get a news alert and it says, hey, it's cool to go back out again, and everyone's just going to congregate in 40, 50, 60,000 seat stadiums. I think people are going to be a little bit kind of dipping their toes back in the water to it. So I do kind of wonder how long it'll take. Like, part of me thinks that as soon as Goodison opens back up, it'll sell out and maybe it'll be fine. But I would probably kind of wait and see and make sure, a few matches go by and everyone's, no one's getting sick, and, just kind of going from there. But I think it'll be interesting to see how we handle it. But at least in theory, you're right. Like, I think people will appreciate a lot of the things they took for granted after this. And I think they will also come to appreciate things that never even occurred to them before, after this as well. I think there's a lot of that's happening right now.
Let's have a chat about your shirt then to finish off.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, everyone's been wearing the favourite shirt or the favourite Everton shirt. This is the first time your one's been given out in, Rob, 2007, 2008, 12 years ago, 13 years ago, from the start of the season. How come you picked that one?
Well, yeah, so no one can accuse me of being a bandwagon Everton fan from the last few years, and what a shitty bandwagon it would be if I was. But no, so I chose this one because this is my first Everton shirt. I got it on Christmas Day from my stepfather back in, I guess it was 2007, and it's funny because every time I wear it, I think about, I definitely think about the fact that it was my first, but I also think about the fact that, I kind of play back in my head the chronology of Everton shirts and Everton history through what Leighton Baines' hair looked like at that time. And so I think at this time was just, him and Jagielka were young, and he had the side, I think, pretty scruffy sideburns at that point, or they were getting there at least. I think they may have gone full scruffy at like 08, 09, 9, 10. I'm not sure, but it was pretty like Gallagher brother looking back then. But the other thing, and because I'm always trying to be, on trend and everything, is that one of my favorite underrated parts of that is the tiger skin pattern that these included, which now that the Tiger King is a big deal on Netflix, and I am in Oklahoma. I feel like, hey, this is now my Tiger King Everton shirt. So I love it on many levels. It's a lot of sentimental value. I haven't counted lately, but I think I've got 12 of these shirts now, maybe. Like, one time, I still have one in a package that I haven't opened. You know which one that is?
Is it the pink one?
Yes. Yeah. They were so desperate to give those away that when I ordered an Everton shirt once years ago, they sent that for free without me ordering it. And I just never. Now, granted, it's not like I'm anti-pink. Like, I'll wear it sometime. It's just like I keep forgetting to ever revisit it, because, there aren't many days that you wake up and think, I'd look really good in Pepto-Bismol pink today. And so, but I've got that one somewhere. But all my favorite Everton shirts are the Chang shirts. Like, I sometimes joke that I miss Chang Everton. Chang Everton is better than Sport Pesa Everton for me in terms of memories.
I don't know. So when you got the shirt, I don't know how invested you were in the team. Because remember you saying you started fully getting involved in 2004. But
I was fully invested at this point.
Yeah. So yeah. I don't know about you, but when I saw that shirt, immediately made me think of Yakubu, and it made me think of Joleon Lescott, the two players to mind. And I've just brought up the Wikipedia page for that season, the 2007-2008 season, and there was just Yakubu's first season at the football club. He scored 21 goals. and Joleon Lescott was the player of the year as well. And Everton finished fifth, and it felt like then that, looking, obviously Everton got to the FA Cup final the year after. It felt like the team was maybe not quite the best Moyes side that we had in his time at Chelsea. It certainly wasn't far off. Maybe the year after was about as good as they got.
Yeah. I think that was certainly still in that period of time where I always felt like we were knocking on the door. Like this was before Spurs got to the level. Like we were still on the same level as like Spurs and some of those clubs then, and I felt like we were always knocking on the door then. I do remember thinking that, and again, coming through the paradigm of American sports where you acquire a player, you bring in a free agent who, like in the NFL, if you bring in a big time receiver or something who can score. That's how I felt about Yakubu. Suddenly we had this guy that, for whatever reason, if you go back and you realize there's nothing impressive about watching him run or do anything else, but the guy just could score goals. Like the guy just, in that moment, he could do it. He, flapping the wings, and then Joleon Lescott was such a great signing then too. I just thought between him and Jagielka, I'm like, yes, we've got something special there. And then, and then, of course, every time I think about Lescott, I still inevitably think about the ending with the whole City debacle and Mark Hughes and all that stuff. But no, those were great. Those were great teams. Was Andy Johnson on the 06 or the 07-08 team as well?
So that season, Yakubu scored 21 goals in all competition, and then Andy Johnson, Tim Cahill, and Joleon Lescott all scored 10 each. So loads of different sources of goals that year, and it was obviously the season where we finished fifth, as I mentioned there. It was also the season where we got to the Europa League last 16 as well and got knocked out by Fiorentina.
Oh yeah, oh god, yes. Those were, I still remember that Europa run and feel like, and if I recall, Anichebe played a pretty big role in that run as well. I still remember us playing Medalist Kharkiv or whatever, that Ukrainian side where, I can't remember what kind of crap stream I found to watch that game, but it was insane how I really got a cultural education and a European education during that Europa run of these outposts that we were going to play. But man, that team was so fun. That team was like Ronald Koeman's dream of balanced scoring and everything.
Yeah, so in the Europa League, we played Zenit St. Petersburg as well. We beat them at Goodison Park. Obviously, went on to win the competition that season. We beat Alkmaar away from home, and we beat Larissa as well, where obviously Lee Osman scored that amazing goal. It was that weird spell of the Europa League where there was like 5 teams in the group, but you wouldn't play them home and away. You'd play 2 at home and 2 away. So we had Zenit, Larissa at home, and then we had Nuremberg, and we have to say Alkmaar away. So we came out then. But yeah, like I said, I love that team. That was the Joleon Lescott left back season, wasn't it? Where he just
that's right.
Awesome nature playing left back for a bit, and you scoring goals every week. But no, great memories, and definitely one of David Moyes' best sides. So that's your favourite kit. You've got.
It's the one with my most sentimental value. I think the shirt that I still like the best in terms of just it wears well with anything like jeans and anything else is my the solid black Nike kit with the yellow trim. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, I've got that one, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't love Nike kits as a whole, but I thought the Everton shirts were just simple, clean, really nice.
Brilliant stuff. Yeah, I've got that black and yellow one, but I've watched it so many times now, like it's starting to peel off the front. It's getting to that stage of its shirt and life. But Rob, it's been a pleasure. 25 minutes there, absolutely flown by. Keep smiling. And we've got some more shows coming up this week. You're going to be on Kickabout. I'm not sure who's on that this week, but
Mark Mosey is definitely joining this week, which is, whenever I can get the man himself, the Mose man himself, it makes me so happy and filled with joy. So he will be on. Still figuring out my third. I think it might be Kate again, but I'm I don't want to be presumptuous. Need to ask her, but looking forward to it for sure.
good. We've also, for subscribers to Blue MX, we've also got Subs Weekly, which is going to be out tonight. We've got another 11 show, which is going to be out on Wednesday. But obviously, we started series 2 of that last week. Jack Carlisle got off the mark with his first win. Have you been listening to them, Rob?
I have, but I'm a couple behind, but they've all been great. They've been really, really fun.
Really fun. Everyone seems to be really enjoying them. We've got loads of stuff on YouTube channel. All these videos for Brew with a Blue have been interesting. I've really enjoyed all of them. So check it out. I think we're down here for subscribing, maybe, or here. One of them. It's in the bottom corner. So comment, subscribe, like, all those sorts of things. It really helps the algorithm, helps us get our content out there. Thanks again to Rob, and we'll speak to you again very soon.